The bridge of the Crimson Tide hummed with deadly energy as Captain Murray stood before the massive viewing screen. Stars stretched endlessly before her, each one representing another system she had conquered. The Andorian Nebula swirled in brilliant purple and gold around her flagship, hiding 17 warships that had become the stuff of nightmares across 4 star systems. Murray was tall and lean, her silver hair pulled back in a tight braid that reached her waist. Scars crossed her dark skin like medals of honor, each one telling a story of victory over those foolish enough to challenge her. Her eyes were cold as space itself, and when she smiled, even her own crew felt a chill. For 12 years, she had ruled the Outer Rim territories with an iron fist. No merchant convoy was safe. No trade route was secure. The Galactic Trade Federation had placed the highest bounty in history on her head, but no one had ever come close to claiming it. She was the Pirate Queen, and her word was law in the darkness. Between stars, Lieutenant Jiho approached from the communication station, his footsteps echoing in the silent bridge. He was shorter than his captain, but moved with the quick precision of someone who had survived many battles. In his hand, he carried a data pad that glowed with fresh intelligence. "Captain, the scout ships have returned from the outer sectors," Jiho said, his voice respectful but excited. "They have found something interesting." Murray turned from the viewing screen, her cape flowing behind her like liquid shadow. "Show me." The main display shifted to show a star chart of the local galaxy. Red dots marked pirate-controlled territories, while blue indicated civilized space. Green showed neutral zones where various species traded peacefully. But there, in a corner that had been empty for decades, new yellow markers had appeared. "New species has emerged from this system," Jiho explained, pointing to a small yellow star. "They call themselves humans, and they come from a world called Earth in the Sol system. Our scouts report they have established colonies on 6 worlds and are expanding rapidly." Murray studied the display with growing interest. "How rapidly?" 3 new colonies in the past 2 years. They are building trade routes between their worlds and even starting to reach out to nearby systems. The cargo manifests we intercepted show they transport rare minerals, advanced computer systems, and something called quantum processors." The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. Rare minerals were valuable enough, but quantum processors were worth more than most planets. They were the key component in faster-than-light communication systems, and every major corporation in the galaxy would pay enormous sums for them. Chief Engineer Sunmi looked up from her console. She was a practical woman who had kept the Crimson Tide running for 8 years. "Captain, quantum processors are incredibly valuable. A single shipment could fund our operations for months." Tactical Officer Huan Wu nodded in agreement. He was younger than the others, but had earned his position through brilliant strategy and ruthless efficiency. The scout reports indicate minimal military presence. Most of their ships appear to be converted civilian vessels with basic weapon systems. Murray walked closer to the display, her mind already calculating possibilities. "Tell me about their defenses." Jiho activated another screen, showing detailed intelligence reports. Each colony has a small defense force, usually no more than 5 ships. The vessels are old designs, probably 50 years behind current military technology. They seem to rely more on diplomacy than military strength. "It's diplomacy." Murray laughed, and the sound sent shivers through the bridge crew. How refreshingly naive. Sunmi pulled up technical specifications on her screen. "Their ships are slow, Captain. Maximum speed appears to be about 60% of our cruising velocity. Their weapons are standard plasma cannons, nothing we haven't seen before. Our shields could probably withstand their entire fleet firing at once." The War Council was forming naturally as more senior officers gathered around the central display. This was how all major decisions were made aboard the Crimson Tide. Marae valued input from her most trusted advisors, but the final choice was always hers alone. Navigation Officer Yuna spoke up from her station. "Captain, the human trade routes are poorly protected. Our scouts observed cargo convoys with only 1 or 2 escort ships. Sometimes they travel completely undefended." Marae felt the familiar thrill of an upcoming hunt. After years of fighting heavily armed military convoys in well-defended stations, the idea of easy prey was appealing. Her reputation had grown, so fearsome that most targets now traveled with massive escort fleets or hired expensive mercenary companies for protection. "How many ships do they have in total?" she asked. "Approximately 40 vessels spread across 6 systems," Hyunwoo reported. "Most are cargo haulers or civilian transports. We count maybe 12 ships that could be considered military vessels, and those are lightly armed patrol craft." The numbers were almost too good to believe. Marae commanded 17 warships, each one a predator designed for combat. Crew had experience fighting the best militaries in the galaxy against barely armed civilians. They would be unstoppable. Weapons specialist Minho joined the discussion. "Captain, intelligence suggests they carry minimal defensive equipment. Standard procedure would be to demand surrender and take what we want. Most civilian crews fold immediately when faced with real pirates." Marae nodded slowly. In her experience, civilians were cowards who valued their lives more than their cargo. Few threats were usually enough to make them hand over everything valuable without a fight. "What about backup?" she asked. "Do they have allies who might interfere?" "The humans appear to be completely isolated," Jiho answered. "They have made some diplomatic contact with nearby species, but no military alliances. No one would risk fighting us to protect some unknown newcomers." The bridge fell silent as Marae considered the information around her. The crew waited with barely contained excitement. They had been hunting in the same territories for months, and pickings had become slim. Military convoys were too well protected, and civilian traffic had learned to avoid their usual hunting grounds. But here was a completely fresh target, a species that had never faced the Crimson Tide, that had no idea what real pirates were capable of. They would be terrified, confused, and completely unprepared for what was coming. "Captain," Sunami said quietly, "this could be the greatest haul in our history. 6 entire systems with minimal defenses and valuable cargo. We could strike multiple targets simultaneously and be gone before they even understand what happened." Marie walked to her command chair, a throne-like seat that dominated the center of the bridge. She sat down slowly, her fingers drumming against the armrest as she thought. The decision was really quite simple. "Set course for human space," she commanded. "Signaled the fleet to prepare for extended operations. We hunt new prey." The bridge erupted in controlled activity as orders were relayed throughout the ship. Navigation began plotting jump coordinates, while communications sent encrypted messages to the other 16 vessels in the fleet. Engineering started charging the main weapon systems, and the tactical department began reviewing attack patterns. But Marae was not finished. She stood and walked to the communication station, where a galaxy-wide transmitter waited. This was her moment to make a statement that would echo across civilized space. "Open a channel to the Galactic Pirate Syndicate," she ordered. "Maximum encryption." The channel activated with a soft chime. Marae straightened her shoulders and let her voice carry the confidence of 12 years of undefeated conquest. "This is Captain Marae of the Crimson Tide. I am moving my fleet to exploit a new opportunity in previously unexplored space. A species called humans has established multiple colonies with valuable cargo and minimal defenses. I expect to return with the greatest haul in pirate history. The Pirate Queen shall remind the galaxy why we are feared." Marae out. The transmission ended, and the bridge fell silent. Around her, the crew prepared for what would surely be their easiest victory yet. The humans had no idea what was coming for them. As the Crimson Tide and her escort fleet jumped to hyperspace, Mare allowed herself a rare smile. Soon, the galaxy would learn that no species was safe from her reach. The humans would serve as an example of what happened to those who dared to prosper in her territory. She had no way of knowing that her message would become famous throughout the galaxy, not for the reasons she expected, but be remembered as the last words of the legendary pirate queen before she made the greatest mistake of her career. The hunt was about to begin. The Crimson Tide fleet intercepts a human convoy near the Kepler-442 system. 3 massive cargo vessels accompanied by what appears to be a single, outdated escort frigate. Mare orders her standard intimidation protocol, broadcasting surrender. Demands across all frequencies. The human response surprises everyone. Captain Dongwu of the escort vessel U.S. Defiant calmly acknowledges their transmission and requests a brief delay to consult with Fleet Command. During this time, Mare's sensors officer Yuna detects strange energy signatures from the human ships. Quote, dismisses them as primitive scanner interference. When the humans finally respond, their answer is simple. Negative. We decline your terms. What follows defies all expectation. The single escort frigate suddenly erupts with devastating firepower, revealing hidden weapon systems of incredible sophistication. The cargo vessels themselves transform, their hulls retracting to expose massive defensive arrays in fighter bays in the span of minutes. 3 of Mare's ships are destroyed, and 2 more are severely damaged. The humans had anticipated pirate activity and prepared accordingly. This was not a cargo convoy, was a trap. The Crimson Tide emerged from hyperspace in the dead system of Zarian 7, a place where pirates had hidden for decades. Empty space stretched in all directions, broken only by the cold light of distant stars. This was supposed to be safe territory, a place where the fleet could regroup and plan their next move. Captain Mare stood on her bridge, staring at the damage reports scrolling across her screens. 5 ships destroyed, 2 more barely functional. In one engagement, the humans had crippled nearly half her fleet. The legendary pirate queen had been humiliated by a species she had never heard of a week ago. Captain, Lieutenant Jiho said quietly, we are receiving transmissions from the other ship commanders. They want to know what happened. Mare closed her eyes for a moment. She had built her reputation on being unbeatable, on never retreating from any fight. Her captains had followed her for years because they believed she was invincible. How that illusion was shattered. Tell them we encountered unexpected resistance, she said finally. We are analyzing the situation and will strike again soon. But privately, Mare knew the truth was more complicated. The humans had not just been lucky or better armed. They had known the pirates were coming. They had prepared a trap and executed it perfectly. That level of planning suggested something far more dangerous than simple defensive capability. Chief Engineer Sunmi approached from her station, her face grim. Captain, the damaged ships need major repairs. Without proper facilities, we cannot restore them to full combat effectiveness. How long for basic repairs? Mare asked. At least a week, maybe 2. And that is just to get their main systems functional again. Mare nodded slowly. A week was too long to wait. By then, the humans might have reinforced their positions or spread word of the attack to other systems. The element of surprise was already lost. What about the mining station in the Vega system? She asked. Intelligence reported it was lightly defended. Tactical Officer Hein Wu pulled up the relevant data on his screen. 3 defensive platforms and maybe 50 workers. It should be an easy target, Captain. Rai made her decision. Signal the undamaged ships. We hit the mining station while the damaged vessels remain here for repairs. We need supplies, and we need to remind the galaxy that we are still dangerous." 6 hours later, the remaining pirate ships dropped out of hyperspace near the Vega mining station. The facility was built into a large asteroid, its surface covered with extracting equipment and storage tanks. It looked exactly like intelligence had described: valuable, isolated, and weakly defended. The 3 defensive platforms were old models, the kind that civilian corporations bought when they needed cheap protection. Their weapons were basic plasma cannons that could barely scratch pirate armor. "This is more like it," Marae muttered as her ships approached the station. "At least some humans know how to be proper victims." The attack began with the standard bombardment of the defensive platforms. They exploded quickly, their weak shields collapsing under sustained fire. Within minutes, the station was defenseless and ready for boarding. "Prepare landing parties," Marae ordered. "Standard procedure. Take what we need and leave." The boarding shuttles launched from the pirate ships, carrying armed crews toward the mining station. Marae watched from her bridge. As the small craft approached the docking bays, everything was going according to plan. Then the first shuttle exploded. "What happened?" Marae demanded. "Unknown," Captain Heinwu replied, his voice tense. The shuttle just exploded. No warning, no energy signature detected. A second shuttle erupted in flames. Then a third. The remaining craft pulled back, their pilots reporting that something was destroying them before they could reach the station. "Scan the station," Marae ordered. "Find out what is killing our shuttles." The census sweep revealed the truth. The mining station was not defenseless at all. Hidden weapon systems were concealed throughout the asteroid, disguised as mining equipment. The humans had turned the entire facility into a fortress. "They did it again," Sunmi said in amazement. "They made us think the station was weak when it was actually heavily armed." Before Marae could respond, her communication system activated. A female voice spoke with calm authority. "This is Station Commander Sahi of the Vega mining facility. You have attacked a civilian installation without provocation. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." Marae felt her anger rising. "You are in no position to make demands. We have 8 warships, and you have a mining station." "Actually," Commander Sahi replied, "you have 8 warships, and we have a fortress. There is a difference." The mining station suddenly erupted with weapon fire. Hidden cannons emerged from concealed positions, their advanced targeting systems locking onto the pirate ships with deadly accuracy. The weapons were not the primitive plasma cannons that intelligence had reported, but high-energy particle beams that could cut through military armor. Evasive maneuvers, Marae shouted. "All ships fall back to safe distance." But the humans had prepared for this too. As the pirate ships tried to retreat, they discovered that the asteroid field around the station was filled with hidden mines. Several ships suffered damage as they tried to navigate the deadly maze. They turned the entire system into a trap. Hyun Woo realized. The whole area is a weapon. The battle raged for 2 hours. Now, the pirates found themselves fighting not just a mining station, but an entire defensive network that had been carefully planned and constructed. Every approach was covered by overlapping fields of fire. Every escape route was mined or blocked. Finally, Marae was forced to retreat again. 3 more ships were damaged, and her crew was beginning to question her leadership. The humans had defeated her twice. In both times, they had used tactics she had never encountered before. As the surviving pirate ships limped back to their hiding place, Marae tried to understand what had happened. The humans were not just defending their territory, they were actively preparing for pirate attacks. They had studied her tactics and developed countermeasures. Captain Jiho said quietly, "We are receiving reports from other pirate groups. The humans have attacked 3 separate fleets in the past week." Marae felt a chill run down her spine. "Attacked? You mean they came after other pirates?" "Yes, Captain." the Blood Ravens, the Iron Serpents, and the Void Stalkers. All three groups reported being hunted by human warships. The Blood Ravens lost half their fleet. This was unprecedented. Most species defended their territory and then stopped. They built walls and waited for the next attack. But the humans were actively hunting pirates, seeking them out and destroying them. "What about the Galactic Defense Force?" Myray asked. "Are they working with the humans? No reports of cooperation?" "Captain, the humans appear to be acting alone." Myray paced the bridge, her mind racing. She had built her career on understanding her enemies, on knowing how they would react to her attacks. But the humans were different. They did not just react, they anticipated. They did not just defend, they hunted. Captain Sunmi said, "Perhaps we should consider avoiding human space entirely. Find easier targets elsewhere." The suggestion made sense, but Myray felt her pride rebelling against it. She was the pirate queen, the most feared raider in the galaxy. She could not be defeated by some unknown species from a backwater system. "No," she said firmly, "we do not run from anyone." The humans got lucky twice, but luck does not last forever. We will study their tactics and find their weaknesses. But even as she spoke, Myray felt doubt creeping into her mind. The humans had not relied on luck, had demonstrated careful planning, advanced technology, and tactical skill that exceeded anything she had encountered. Fought like a military force that had been preparing for war for decades. Captain Hunwu said, "Incoming transmission from the damaged ships at Zarian 7. Put it through." The voice of Captain Yemen, one of her most trusted subordinates, filled the bridge. "Captain Myray, we have a problem. Human ships have been detected in the outer system. They are scanning for us." Myray felt her blood turn to ice. Zarian 7 was a secret base that had been used by pirates for generations. No government force had ever found it. Yet somehow, the humans had tracked them to their most secure hiding place. "How many ships?" she asked. "Unknown, Captain. They are using some kind of stealth technology. We only detected them because they passed close to our sensor net." The humans were not just defending their territory or hunting random pirates. They were specifically tracking her fleet, following them to their safe havens, and preparing to strike. The hunters had become the hunted. "All ships, prepare for emergency jump," Myray commanded. We abandoned Zarian 7 immediately. As the Crimson Tide fleet prepared to flee from their own base, Myray realized that everything had changed. Humans were not prey to be hunted. The were predators, and they were very good at their job. For the first time in her career, Captain Myray began to wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. 2 weeks had passed since the disaster at Zarian 7. The Crimson Tide fleet now hid in the Omega Sector, a region of space so remote that even pirates rarely ventured there. Captain Myray stood in her quarters, staring at intelligence reports that painted an increasingly desperate picture. The humans were everywhere. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Iron Serpents had been completely destroyed near the Notorious system. The Void Stalkers had lost their flagship and scattered to the solar winds. 3 more pirate groups had simply vanished without a trace, leaving only debris fields and unanswered distress calls. A soft chime announced someone at her door. "Enter," Myray called. Chief Strategist Junho walked in, his arms full of data pads and his face grim. He was an older man who had served with Myray for 8 years, helping plan some of her greatest victories. Now he looked like someone who had seen his entire world crumble. "Captain, I have completed the analysis you requested," he said, setting the data pads on her desk. "The results are ... troubling." Myray gestured for him to sit. "Kill me, Connie." Junho activated the first data pad, showing a tactical display of recent engagements. "Connie, the humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. Most militaries are reactive. They build defenses and wait for attacks. But the humans are proactive. They anticipate our moves and prepare counters before we even make them. The display showed ship movements from the past month. Red dots represented pirate fleets, while blue indicated human forces. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Every time pirates had tried to attack human targets, the humans had been ready. Every time pirates had tried to retreat to safe bases, human ships had already been waiting. They are learning faster than we can adapt, Junho continued. Each engagement teaches them something new about our tactics, but more importantly, they are applying those lessons across their entire military structure. Mare studied the data with growing unease. What do you mean? When we fought that convoy at Kepler 42, they learned about our attack formations. By the time we hit the mining station at Vega, they had already shared that knowledge and prepared countermeasures. Their military operates like a single organism, sharing information instantly across vast distances. The second data pad showed ship construction reports gathered by pirate spies. The numbers were staggering. Human shipyards were producing vessels at a rate that defied logic. They are building ships faster than we can destroy them, Juno said. But that is not the worst part. Look at these technical specifications. Myri examined the data and felt her heart sink. The new human ships were not just more numerous, they were more advanced. Each generation incorporated lessons learned from previous battles, adding new weapons and defensive systems specifically designed to counter pirate tactics. They reverse engineered our technology, she whispered. Not just reverse engineered, Junho corrected. Improved. Their weapons are now more powerful than ours. Their shields can withstand our strongest attacks, and their ships are faster than anything in our fleet. The third datapad contained the most disturbing information of all. Intelligence reports showed that humans were not content with just defending their own territory. They had begun reaching out to other species, forming alliances and sharing their anti-piracy technology. The Galactic Trade Federation has approached them about joint operations, Junho explained. 3 systems have already requested human protection for their shipping lanes. If this continues, we will face unified resistance across multiple sectors. Murray pushed the datapads away and walked to the viewport. Stars stretched endlessly before her, but they no longer seemed like hunting grounds. Now they felt like a maze where predators waited in every shadow. What about our allies? She asked. The other pirate factions, the black market suppliers, the corrupt officials who provide intelligence. Junho's silence was answer enough. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with defeat. The Black Star Syndicate has declared human space off limits to all operations. Crimson Dawn faction has withdrawn to the Outer Rim territories. Most of our suppliers have stopped selling to groups that operate near human systems. Isolation was complete. For decades, piracy had thrived because it was profitable and relatively safe. Pirates could always find buyers for stolen goods, suppliers for weapons, and corrupt officials willing to look the other way. But the humans had changed the equation. They made piracy too dangerous and too costly. There is more, Captain, Junho said reluctantly. Our spies report that the humans have established something called the Interstellar Security Force. It is a dedicated anti-piracy organization with ships specifically designed for hunting raiders. Mare turned from the viewport. How many ships? At least 50, with more being built every month. They are commanded by Admiral Kungman, a strategist who has studied pirate tactics for years. His forces have already eliminated 7 major pirate groups. The name meant nothing to Mare, but the implications were terrifying. The humans had created an entire military organization dedicated to destroying pirates. They were not just defending themselves. They were systematically eliminating piracy as a profession. A communication alert interrupted her thoughts. Lieutenant Jaho's voice came through the intercom system. Captain, urgent message from our scout. Ships, multiple human vessels detected in the next system. They appeared to be searching for something. Mare felt ice forming in her veins. How far away? 6 hours at maximum jump speed. Captain. They are using advanced sensor arrays, scanning every asteroid and moon. The humans had found them again. Despite changing hiding places 3 times in 2 weeks. Despite using every stealth technique known to pirates, the human forces continued to track them down. All ships, prepare for emergency jump, Mare ordered. Random vectors, maximum distance. Okay. But even as she gave the command, Mare knew it was pointless. Okay. The humans would find them again, just as they had found every other pirate group. Technology was too advanced, their determination to complete, over the following days. The remaining pirate ships scattered across the galaxy, trying desperately to evade human pursuit. But the reports that reached Mare painted a picture of inevitable doom. Captain Wanho of the Dark Nebula reported that human ships had cornered his vessel near the Orion system. He had been forced to surrender or face destruction. Captain Yunbi of the Star Reaper sent a final transmission before her ship was destroyed by human forces. She had refused to surrender and paid the ultimate price, one by one. The greatest pirates in the galaxy were being eliminated. Some surrendered and disappeared into human prison systems. Others fought to the death and became expanding clouds of debris. Few simply vanished, their fate unknown but certainly final. The age of piracy was ending, and the humans were writing its obituary in fire and blood. Captain, Junho said during one of their increasingly desperate planning sessions, perhaps it is time to consider other options, such as surrender, retirement, finding a new profession in a distant galaxy where humans have no presence. The words hit Mare like physical blows. After 12 years of being the most feared pirate in known space, the idea of surrender was almost incomprehensible. But the alternative was becoming increasingly clear. The humans did not negotiate with pirates. They did not accept tribute or bribes. They did not recognize safe zones or neutral territories. They simply hunted pirates until every last one was captured or killed. No, Mare said finally. I am the Pirate Queen. I do not surrender to anyone. Her defiance sounded hollow even to her own ears. She had built her reputation on being unbeatable, but the humans had beaten her repeatedly. She had prided herself on being unpredictable, but they anticipated her every move. She had thought herself the apex predator of space, but they had proven that something far more dangerous lurked in the darkness between stars. The communications system activated with an incoming transmission. The message was brief and delivered in the calm, measured tones that had become terrifyingly familiar. This is Admiral Kungman of the Human Interstellar Security Force. Captain Mare, your fleet has been located. You are surrounded and have no avenue of escape. Surrender immediately and your crew will be treated according to galactic law. Continue to resist and you will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in deadly silence. Through the viewport, Mare could see the sleek shapes of human warships emerging from behind asteroids and gas clouds, dozens of them, all pointing their weapons at the remnants of her once mighty fleet. For the first time in her career, the Pirate Queen was truly trapped with no way out. With her fleet reduced to 5 ships and supplies running low, Mare makes a final desperate gambit. She attempts to strike at Earth itself, believing that threatening the human homeworld will force them to negotiate. The assault on the Sol system becomes a nightmare for the pirates. Earth's defenses, coordinated by Admiral Taiho, include not just military vessels, but converted civilian ships, orbital platforms, and even asteroid-based weapons. The entire system is effectively one massive fortress, As the Crimson Tide breaks through the outer defenses, Marae realizes the true horror of her situation. The humans have been hurting her here, using her own desperation against her. Every escape route has been cut off by human forces in the final battle above Earth. Marae faces Captain Hawan of the UE's Vengeance, a massive dreadnought built specifically to counter pirate tactics. The engagement is brief but decisive. Crimson Tide's superior firepower means nothing against human shields that adapt to each attack dies around her. Marae records a final message to the Galactic Pirate Syndicate. They don't fight like any species we've encountered. They don't just defend, they hunt. They don't just win, they eliminate. Stay away from human space. We thought we were apex predators, but we were wrong. In the darkness between stars, humanity is what nightmares fear. The Crimson Tide explodes in a brilliant flash, taking the last of the legendary pirate fleet with it. The age of piracy in human space ends not with negotiation or tribute, but with the complete annihilation of those who dared to threaten humanity's children among the stars.